Now, say my name.
The Rolling Bad Podcast.
You're goddamn right.
Welcome to episode 5 of the Rolling Bad Podcast, coming to you from the barren wastelands of Albuquerque, New Mexico. I'm your host, Elric Edge, and tonight joining me are...
Bill Costello.
And...
James Tapia.
In this episode, we're going to cover the GT that we had this weekend, the Rolling Bad Rumble. We're going to have a pretty cool interview, and we're going to do our usual New Dawn stuff, where we talk about the stuff coming out. We're going to cover some Whisper stuff that's not exactly AOS. And we're going to skip the Realm of Creation and the Realm of Battle so that we can bring you expanded coverage of the tournament. So with that, let's kick off into the New Dawn. The Realm of the New Dawn. So, in the Realm of the New Dawn, what did you want to bring up first?
let's get all the pesky 40K stuff out of the way, shall we?
Yeah, let's do that.
Tons of 40K. So... anybody who is on Facebook, you should be following the various Games Workshop Facebook pages. There's one for Age of Sigmar, there's one for 40K, Black Library, Forge World. Now there's a new one for Warhammer TV.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Which is really cool. But
you can talk to Duncan.
Yeah, that's true. But for the last week, they were doing these little riddles, Eldar riddles, and it turns out that we got Deathwatch. So,
yay!
It's a new box game, but but there's also the Deathwatch Codex,
right? And
you can buy Deathwatch as an army as well.
It's about time.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's all the new Mark 9 armor or Mark 8.
It's Mark 8, I think.
Is the newest. That's right. Yeah.
Mark 8.
But everybody has it, not just like the leader of a squad has
it. It's the Deathwatch. It's
their
shtick.
They look gorgeous. Duncan already has a painting tutorial up on how to, make that black look real good.
Oh, yeah. Which is
I don't
nice,
really.
'cause I have all black armies.
Yeah. They also did a video of Phil Kelly and Robin Cruddas.
Yeah.
Talking about designing the book, which is really cool. So you actually get a look into the design process and what they were thinking. And they actually go into depth about what is probably one of the hardest things to do when you have a new Space Marine book is how do you make these Space Marines different than the others? And how do you bring because in the fluff, they're way different.
Yeah,
that's the easy part is you can make them interesting in their own ways. But how do you get those rules to come to life? And they talk about, how
doing that.
Yeah, it's really cool. So I don't want to get too in depth into it because I really don't know a whole lot other than the little bit that I watched in that video and stuff. But,
well, what scares me about all of that with the new Deathwatch and all this other stuff? Did you see the big thing that hit the other night about Matt Ward put out a tweet that said something on the order of, well, it looks like I have a new employer. And then it pointed over to like a GW. So I think Matt Ward is back with GW.
Oh, really?
So that means codexes are going to go crazy.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
But what's killing me is Games Workshop is really turning the page back to when they were a really cool game company. And you can say what you want. I mean, people love or hate Matt Ward, but he made some of the most fun codexes out there.
Yeah, true.
They may have been broken. Okay, they were broken, but I mean, they were a blast and they were fun and they were filled with good fluff and they were good. They were fun.
Yeah, they touched on that on I think it was the Ninth Realm where they mentioned that the company feels like it was back in the 90s.
It really does.
Before they went public.
Yeah.
And they focused more on like the player and the hobby. And they just now happen to also now have the ability to make unbelievably stunning models.
Yeah.
As well as all the cool story and fluff and everything. So
it's this new CEO. I mean, I'd like to meet him one day because I owe him a beer, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So, the other big thing in 40K that they kind of sort of hinted at, but it was pretty obvious is
Slap you in the face.
I'm pretty sure we finally have end times coming for
Yes,
40K.
we do.
Not right around the corner, but
No,
it's coming, and I cannot wait
you betcha.
for them to blow that world up.
You know, it's if there is a world that needed blowing up, it's
Oh.
40K.
Now, I think we all say that as huge 40K fans.
Yeah.
It's going to be so nice to finally be able to move that story forward,
Yes.
to put some urgency on the different factions, and just see how they could develop it, because AOS, the fluff and everything has just been so good.
Yeah.
And with the ability to move things forward. And you look at the Seasons of War campaign,
Yeah.
the players actually can influence stuff.
Yeah.
You could do that with 40K.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and it would just...
And without having to retcon it again, you know, like they did the last time.
Exactly.
So,
And we'll go back to the beginning of Abaddon's
yeah.
17th, somewhat mild attempt to circumvent the Black Gate and
Yeah.
whatever. Like, just move it forward already.
Yeah, and you know what? Let him be his own thing again. I mean, I don't.
We could literally do a show on
Unjust.
how amazing it would be
Yes.
to have AOS style rules for 40K.
Okay.
I know that that's like a knee jerk awful reaction for a lot of 40K players, but I think if you gave me a good 20 minutes to explain my side of the story, the argument, I think it would be the best thing to happen.
I honestly think the way the company's going out, and with all the 40K guys who are, and you can tell AOS was aimed at the 40K crowd. They're seeing how this great game has matured and grown, and I think there's a real undercurrent that says if you did to 40K what you did to Sigmar, but without all the speed bumps along the way the first year.
Right.
If you start 40K at this point in Sigmar's career, I think you have an amazing game, and I don't think you lose. You don't alienate any of your player base, and you bring tons back into it. When you tell me I don't have to have $4,000 worth of Blood Angels in order to play a game, or I don't have to have 10 Death Stars just to go to a tournament,
Yeah.
I'm back in the game. You know,
Right.
I don't play 40K now because it is not a fun game to play. It's exciting, it's adventurous, and it's neat, but there is none of the flavor of the world in the game.
Plus, they could bring in the 3 different ways to play in 40K.
Yeah.
So that way, if you're not a hardcore tournament gamer, you could play a narrative game with your friends.
I mean,
Yep.
there's the argument that kind of already exists. You could just
It does, but I
put
think
whatever you want on the table.
But I think 40K is so geared towards hardcore competitive tournaments right now that it kind of doesn't.
Yeah, it feels
come
like that
through.
even on the nights at the game store where they play 40K. It seems like it's bring your A game or
go home.
Yeah, exactly. So I think I know, because I find, from what my experience I've seen, 40K gamers are a lot more rules as written kind of people.
Oh, yeah.
They don't have, they take things very literally. So I think if it told them, hey, these 3 ways are okay to play,
Mm-hmm.
then that would help the other guys.
So
You could do it.
Yeah, calling it. What do you want to call it? Age
Age
of
of
the
the
Emperor.
Emperor.
Rise of the Emperor. Fall of the Emperor. Something Emperor. It's coming. Get ready for it. It's
The
gonna
Emperor's dead. Long live the Emperor.
Yeah. Let the galaxy burn. It's going to
So-
be amazing. Anyways, back
That's
to...
enough for round base.
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
wait.
Right. For Age of Sigmar, we did have the Beastclaw Raiders.
Hang on.
Uh-oh.
Didn't you want to talk about Eisenhorn?
Oh, yeah. So real quick as well, on the 40K train, there's an Eisenhorn game coming out on iOS, and I can't remember if it's coming out right away for Google, Android. All that other non-good Apple stuff. No, just kidding.
Well, we just lost 20 listeners.
I have an iPhone, so I just pay attention to that. But they seem to be doing a lot better about releasing those games for multi-phone operating systems now.
Yeah.
But I think it's some kind of a strategy game. Unfortunately, I haven't really looked into it a whole lot. It kind of blends in with the Inquisition Martyr or Inquisitor Martyr game in my mind, which is I think that's going to be a full-on PC
Yeah.
first-person shooter
Yeah.
role-playing game type thing. So, but yeah, that is going to release tomorrow on the 10th.
The 10th of August, yeah.
Keep an eye out for that. I buy every app game that comes out for GW,
Mhm.
partially because I'm a fanboy, partially because they're fairly cheap, and I vote with my dollar.
Yeah.
And I want to let GW know that I want more video games as well as the tabletop games, So
Well, they've been doing a good job licensing that stuff out to decent companies and systems.
yeah, pretty much ever since Warhammer Quest, since Rodeo
Yep.
Games did Warhammer Quest,
Yep.
I think they really only had that Arcane Magic or something was a bit of a turd at the beginning, but they went back in and redid that game kind of from the ground up, and it's not so bad now.
You know
But
what's...
there's a lot of really good strategy games out.
Since we're talking about computers, let me get off track real quick.
Uh-oh.
Have you seen the Assault Dice app for 40K?
Yeah, that's one that I haven't bought, unfortunately.
See, now that is one of the best dice rolling apps I've ever seen in my life. Plus, it's tailored to 40K. It works really well, and I've never heard them push it in any way, shape, or form. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's really good.
Huh.
And it'll even do direction dice for you too, which is kind of something you don't.
Oh, yeah.
The mechanic is really cool how it works. So anyway, just plug on another.
Age of
GW.
Sigmar Dice app.
That's what they need.
Get on it, peeps.
Mm-hmm. If you can sell me a $40 tape measure, you could probably charge me $100 for a dice rolling app.
I'll take two.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, now can we get on to Age
Yeah,
of
so
Sigmar?
back to, what this podcast is all about. So, Beast Claw Raiders actually came out.
Wow.
I have not had a chance to really dig through the book. It came out on the Saturday that we were running,
Yes.
or that I was running the tournament. So, did not have a chance to dig into it. I've seen some kind of rage on the Twitterverse about some crazy charging mortal wound nonsense. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure we'll dig into it soon
Yeah.
enough. One thing that is really cool, though, is they're selling a big box,
Yes.
the Icewind Assault or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
$215.
$215. You
Wow.
can buy that, and you could buy another Stonehorn / Frosthorn.
Yeah.
What is it called? I always get them mixed
Thunder-
up. Stonehorn and Thundertusk.
Thunder
There you go.
Tusk. Yeah.
Another one of those, and for less than $300, you have a
You have an
2,000
army.
point army.
Yep.
That is freaking cool.
Problem with that army is, wow, it's the delete button. I mean, the Iron Jaws are bad. This one's going to be like, wow.
You
So-
think it'll be that bad?
No, because especially in that one's case, because you take out some of the big stuff
Yeah.
and the synergy falls apart.
Yeah,
So-
well, plus you look at some of the missions out of the,
Yeah.
like the 6 missions out of the match
Yeah,
play.
when you have
one
to
of them
take 3 or 4
requires,
objectives.
yeah, one of
you're
them
done.
requires heroes to sit on an
Yeah.
objective to get points. Another one is 5 or more models.
Mhm.
What you're gonna have
You're going to have
8
yeah.
Mornfang trying to sit on that bad boy.
Yeah.
Like, good luck
You
trying
can't
to.
fit them within 5 inches or 6 inches
Exactly.
of the. So yeah, it has its built-in, but in open play, it's going to be a badass thing.
Well, yeah, just about anything. Anything, in open play can get.
Yeah,
I mean, open play is full on Nagash in your face.
yeah. Bring
so.
the gas and Archeon, and
Yeah,
have some fun.
how many Stonehorns you going to need to get through that nonsense? So, but
Yeah, I just need some Iron Jaws. So
yeah,
that's going to happen all night, folks. Just
It's-
prepare for the Iron
yeah.
Jaw stuff.
Is there anything else from the?
Not
creation?
really from the new stuff. We're in a kind of a. I think they're having a little cooling off period after the General Handbook to let people kind of absorb it.
Yeah.
So I think Beast Claw was, already in the works, and it was announced. Wasn't it before the handbook came out?
Well, the names were in there. I don't
Yeah.
think it was-
Oh yeah. That's
So-
right. Same thing with the Bone Splitters.
so. This is gonna
Yeah.
be this. I think this is the last race in the General's Handbook that actually has points that hasn't been announced yet. So
Right.
Oh no. Oh, maybe it's in the Forge. There's a Forge World blurb that talks
Yeah.
about making some type of Famir a battle line. There's a Famir character that I think they previewed
Oh boy.
that's going to make Famir Battleline. So I'd imagine there's
Yeah.
some kind of a. I mean, I guess that's for our next segment, but
Yeah.
there's a little bit of a Forge World bit that should be coming, but
Yeah.
I mean that's two totally separate things. So
Yeah, I think we'll see at least a couple of weeks of slowdown here to let people absorb the handbook and get used to it. So
yeah, maybe we'll get a couple more start collecting boxes.
yeah. Well, what are we gonna start collecting now? God, what haven't they covered?
Fire Slayers, maybe a Fire Slayers start collecting box. I don't know what all you'd put in there, since the Magma Draw there's like $110
Yeah, it'd be kind of
model,
rough.
but it's a good deal because you can get so many characters on foot plus the Magma Draw.
Yeah.
Maybe that's their start collecting box.
Yeah,
Is the Magma
here,
Draw
just buy
box.
this. You get a 200 or a 2,000 point army. Look, clunk.
Yeah. A Beast Claw Raider start collecting box, huh?
That's true. They only came out with the big box, so
I don't. Again, what a Stonehorn and I don't know.
a
Yeah,
Mornfang.
yeah.
wait,
for $85. Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
think
that's
we'll
not
get
happening.
that good of a deal.
So,
Let's go ahead.
hold
Yeah, let's get into the next one. The Realm of Wisps, in which we're going to touch briefly on the little bits of rumors that we've seen going around. There's not a whole lot, but Bill, you got a rumor you wanted to talk about?
well, I just heard something, and I can't even point to where I heard it, so take this as total hearsay. But I heard there's another book coming in September that is going to take all of the existing stuff before Sylvaneth and bring them up to that point where they have spell lists and they have command traits.
Yeah, I remember hearing that
That
too.
rumor's been
Yeah.
going around. I've heard some of the other podcasts talk about
So.
that. I don't know. You know, I thought about that too, and I forgot who I was talking about. Maybe it was at the
think
Rumble.
they kind of have to.
Probably.
We were talking about how, like, do they really need to?
Yeah, in a big way.
You think so?
Because you look
like,
at the Seraphon book, and there's absolutely no reason to play Seraphon right now. Lizardmen, period.
well,
You
other
will
than
get
the
face
fact that
stomped
they're,
by everyone.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think they might be really the only exception because I played Iron Jaws, and we'll touch on that.
Oh, did you? How did they? Oh,
The listeners can't see you roll your eyes, Bill.
okay,
But,
so this is bad radio, but I'm also pointing a gun at him.
I don't know. I don't think a lot of the armies have lost anything. Like if you look at Bloodbound and Fire Slayers, they don't have any wizards, so they don't
Right.
need their own spell lores.
But they could use artifacts, and they could damn sure use some command traits. And-
Well, they get the stuff out of the main book already.
right, but everybody gets that. They could use something a little faction specific, I think. And Ironjaws could use something faction specific as well, because they're just not quite there yet. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
they're not quite good enough.
Well, yeah. I don't know if that would fill a gap for them, or if just another unit or something
Yeah.
would do that better for the armies that like Ironjaws and Fire Slayers that didn't really get the biggest model releases. But I'd have to say after my games, I think I'm okay because I certainly felt the same way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you listen to, I think maybe episode 3 where we were
Yeah.
talking about the General's Handbook, and I was just like, I don't even know how, Ironjaws and Fire Slayers and stuff can even compete anymore
right.
against Sylvaneth and Bone Splitters. And honestly, I think they'll be okay using just the generic stuff out of the book.
And but still, in order to get everybody onto the same playing field, and I don't mean fairness, or balance wise, I'm just saying so that every faction has access to the same amount of stuff.
Oh, more from like a flavor perspective?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
To
yeah, I
differentiate and to separate, and also to reach out to those people who, there's a large base of existing Seraphon players, Lizardmen players, who are kind of ticked right now that their book dropped, and it was a regurgitation of what was already on the web. And
Yeah, Seraphon is kind of weird one.
Well, and right now you literally can't play them against any other army. Everyone else has so much that is designed to kill monsters. And what's the only thing the Seraphon have other than cheap troops? And lots of them. Summoning and monsters is all they have. And when you limit summoning like you have, to where that's not a mechanic you can use to gain an advantage anymore, now you basically have an army that sits on the table and dies.
Well, I would say let's play some games
Yeah.
with the Seraphon and see if it's
I'm
quite that
working on
bad.
it.
Because I'm over here eating some freshly roasted crow when it comes to Iron Jaws. I'll be the first one to admit it. So maybe we should get through a few games and
Sure.
see if it's really
Yeah.
quite that bad.
I just, it's like I said, it's a rumor I've heard, and I think from a business standpoint, it makes sense to go back to everything pre-Sylvaneth and bring those up to that same standard before you move on. That way, you're not making a player base upset,
Yeah.
with what they have. Even Stormcast could...
Well, let's not get crazy
Well,
here.
I'm not saying they need more power. I'm just saying that they need some more flavor.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a lot of flavor.
Because I think some of those earlier ones suffer from the fact that you don't gain much by having Stormcast Legions. Actually, you gain nothing by having Stormcast
Exactly,
Legions.
yeah, you're an orc.
Versus, I mean, not necessarily from power level, but even from just like, well, so why wouldn't, if I'm taking Stormcast, why wouldn't I just cherry pick everything out of order that's the best?
Yeah.
And just take Hurricanums and
Yeah,
take
but
this.
you don't
'Cause there's no
lose
downside
anything
to it.
either.
No, but I mean, it's kind of cool just to take. The other books have a reason to have that allegiance besides, oh, I get this one unit as battle line. It's no, I can take these cool items, I can take these cool spells, I can take these cool command traits. As opposed to, there's no other reason for those other armies to be
I think it's really only the
Bloodbound
spells.
allegiance.
It's the spells that you get access to that really makes them unique.
Well, and just don't forget, there's 2 more chambers or 3 more chambers that haven't been released yet for the Stormcast. So
Well, yeah.
one of them might be a spell casting.
But Beastclaw Raiders don't have a spell list.
No.
All they got was a couple.
There's a
of
lot. Chaos doesn't have a. They have some cool prayer effects, but not any real good spelling. I don't know. That's just a rumor I heard.
I think the army that would benefit from it the most would the Flesh Eater Courts
Mm.
to maybe get their own unique spell lore and stuff. Because right
Yeah.
now their spells are you always take the guy that does the bubble ability to give you. I think is like the 6-up or 5-up ward essentially. Yeah, and everybody takes that guy because it's the best spell,
Mhm.
and the other guy just summons more ghouls. And now that summoning doesn't work the way it used to, you don't really need that guy.
In match play.
Right. Which is essentially what we're talking about.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is all.
Well, that's all we talk about because we are the tournament podcast.
Yeah. So
We are labeled.
yeah. So I don't. I think they would benefit from it, but I really don't think the rest of the army. I think the rest of the armies are going to be okay. And Seraphon again are just the weird elephant. I don't know.
Oh, I don't think in any way, shape, or form that they're handicapped.
Well, you were just saying they were unplayable, literally unplayable.
I did say they were literally unplayable, but against in matched play, I don't think they have a hope.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I think the benefit they have as a whole
No,
book
what?
is that it has its own built-in synergy.
Yes.
So instead of being like an army like Fire Slayers or Iron Jaws, where they are a handful of units that have a very small, the synergy is good,
Yeah.
but it's very limited. Seraphon got their entire line released together, and it
Yeah.
synergizes the whole list.
Everything.
So you can build several different looking lists that I think still pack a punch. And I don't know if monsters are as susceptible maybe as you think. Maybe
Oh, yeah.
because of Bone Splitters.
Well, and just about, I mean, I know Stormcast have anti-monster armies.
Well,
Khorne has
Stormcast have
anti-monster.
everything.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah, Iron Jaws are going to.
Oh, they don't have anti-Iron Jaws, baby.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Okay, so the Stormcast were 4 and 2.
Yeah.
And the only 2 was Iron Jaws. Okay, so anyway, let's not even go there. Yeah, so anyway, that was just a quick rumor. There may be a book coming down the
Sure,
pike.
yeah.
It wouldn't be bad to see some more fluffy goodness.
Or even just maybe a free update on the app.
Or, yeah, it might even be that. Here, just, here's some extra pages, stick them in.
I think it was the only
Was that the only
rumor
whisper?
bit. Oh, and then the Forge World thing that we talked about,
Right.
with the Famir.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's it. It's hard to keep up with rumors anymore because it seems like
It's
you get a picture and then a week later it's up for pre-order.
Yeah.
So.
All right, so we'll wrap the old Realm of Whispers, and as we said at the beginning, we're not going to do a Realm of Creation this time. We're not going to do Realm of Battle. We're going to jump right into...
All right, so we're going to do a little segment here where we're going to interview Jules, who is James's son, the little Lich Priest. And he was with us at the Slobberknocker GT in Oklahoma City, and he was also present for the Rolling Bad Rumble. So he's got two tournaments under his belt already. So why don't you tell us just real quick a little bit about yourself, Jules? You know, how long you've been playing and what got you interested.
I played since it came out, and I started with my dad with the starter box. He played with the Stormcast Eternals, and I played with the Corn...
The Bloodbound?
Yeah, Corn Bloodbound.
And then you went to the Tomb Kings, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did you play any games of 8th edition, or did you pretty much start with Age of Sigmar?
I started with Age of Sigmar.
Nice. Okay, and then, so your first tournament was the Slobberknocker GT, for a 2-day tournament, which is pretty cool. And how did you find that? How did you find, like, your games and your opponents and traveling and just the whole experience?
I liked it.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty cool. How'd your games go?
They were fun.
Yeah. Did you find yourself getting, like, flustered or forgetting things or anything like that? Or were you able to keep your head in the game?
I kept my head in the game.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to do. Usually by, like, round 3, people are getting tired and forgetting things and, and so you seem to do pretty well, huh?
Yeah.
That's good. How'd you like your opponents? All pretty good guys?
Yep.
Nice. What did you like most about the Slobberknocker?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Mm-mm.
It's your first GT. Did you like the fact that you won as many games as you hoped you would?
Yeah.
Yeah, you went 2 and 3, which is what you were hoping you would get.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when I went to my first GT, that's what I was hoping. I hope I could win at least 2. I managed to get 3, but yeah, it was kind of overwhelming. That was a 100-player plus tournament in Texas, so pretty crazy to go to something like that. But right on. What do you think you learned from that tournament going forward?
To pay more attention to the objectives.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Pro tip: that's how you win. That's how you actually win the tournaments. Is you gotta pay attention to the missions. It's not always just about smashing your opponent off, even though it's fun. So then you played here in the Rolling Bad Rumble, which is on familiar home turf. How'd you find that? It was a 1-day tournament as opposed to 2 days. So how'd you like that?
I also liked it too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now the Rolling Bad Rumble and the Slobberknocker, the comps were different in that, like, one used the South Coast GT and then ours used the new General's Handbook. Did you notice really any difference in how you played the game based on that, or
No.
no, not really?
Mm-mm.
You didn't find maybe the rule of 1 affected because you couldn't really bring back guys as much, like spamming spells to bring your snakes back and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it changes the play style a little bit. But I noticed your list got a little nastier for the Rolling Bad Rumble, that's for sure. Mr. 12 Necropolis Knights. I know Ryan sent out a tweet with a picture of all 12 of them and not very many treatment spirits of the wood left there. So,
Oh, and I have 50 skeleton archers.
Right, yeah. That poor battle line tax you just had to take. How'd you like that list compared to the one you took to Slobberknocker? You think the one you have now is better?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it has... Why don't you tell us what's in that list? Because I kind of like one of the bits.
I have Cetra,
Yeah, there he is.
and one of her abilities is she can let all mummy heroes use their command ability, and she can also give the Necropolis Knights double their movement, and they can fly, and +1 to hit and +1 to wound. And I have Cetra, Kalita, and then she gives the skeletons +1 to hit. I have 50 skeleton archers, 2 tomb heralds, and 12 Necropolis Knights.
Gee. So with those two, basically your skeletons go from being like dopey skeletons to Space Marines with their shooting. Well, like all that +1 to hit. That's crazy. Yeah, I was pretty happy to see Cetra on the table. That's cool. And then my favorite part was in round 3, you played against Nagash. We saw the Nagash and the Cetra, the face-off. What'd you think of that game? What'd you think of Nagash? Because he's a pretty scary dude. I played against him in 8th edition, and he rocked my world. So
Nagash, he charged into Cetra and killed her and him. And then 6 of my snakes started charging for him and killed him.
yeah,
It took 2 turns to kill him.
the snakes, man, they'll take care of just about anything. I want to try your list with my Iron Jaws and see who can beat more face. I think it'll be a good fight. You want to talk about your games for the Rolling Bad Rumble at all? In more detail, or
No.
no? Okay, so what did you like most about the tournament that I ran? What was your favorite part about the tournament that I put on?
That's a setup.
I know, right? Please don't say nothing.
I like the second game,
Oh yeah, the mission, or
the mission.
oh okay, that one was Border War or Escalation. Or...
Escalation was first. Border War was
Yeah,
second.
Border War, and that was the 4 objectives, right? Yeah, and then you got more points for getting the one in your opponent's deployment and stuff like. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was a pretty good one. That's the one where I spoiler alert, tabled your dad. So yeah, that was I like the missions out of the General's Handbook. They're all fairly straightforward if you know how to read, which I don't, unfortunately, it turns out. What did you learn from the Rolling Bad Rumble that you can take forward?
The first game, that was the one that you only set up your battle line units, and it was cut in half. How was it cut in half?
Oh, the diagonally.
Yeah, so
That one was escalation, right?
Escalation.
Yeah.
so I was bunched into a corner, so I only got 2 objectives from that game.
Okay.
At the end.
You weren't quite aggressive enough.
Mm-mm.
Fair enough. So, what's in your future for Age of Sigmar? What are you looking forward to? Maybe another army, or adding to your Tomb Kings, or
Painting.
what else do you have to paint for your Tomb Kings?
I have to paint my skeleton archers, finish up my snakes, and Cetra, and my scorpion.
Oh yeah, the good old Tomb Scorpion, or whatever it's called now. I don't remember.
Because you need more hitting power. Yeah.
Yeah, more entombed beneath the sands. Right on. Is there anything else you want to add?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Fair enough. The realm of consciousness.
So, in the realm of conquest, you would think that we would cover something that we had done locally.
Yeah, you're probably referring to the Rolling Bad Rumble.
Oh, that was it.
Yeah, that we did this last Saturday. So we had a 3-day tournament.
The 3-day
God,
tournament
I
on
did it
Saturday.
again. I did it again. Yes, we had a 3-day tournament. It was an absolute slog. Everybody bought their armies on Friday, painted them on Saturday, played on Sunday. Ugh.
Wow. And you were
three,
judged.
Yeah, and I just laughed the whole time. Anyways, a 3-game tournament on Saturday. We actually had a pretty solid turnout. We
Yeah.
had 11 players.
More than that.
It was 12 total.
Oh,
I
I thought
ended
there
up
was more.
having to play.
Yeah, we had a couple
14
more.
signed
We had
up.
14 signed up, but I think we knew 1 or 2 of them were going to drop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
That's what you get for running a tournament on the same weekend as Gen Con.
It's Gen Con.
Oh,
Another thing to learn.
yeah. Also, a reason why I'll never be able to go to Gen Con because of my wife and daughter's birthday.
Oh.
Ow!
Oh.
Anyways, and half of our tournament was people from out of town.
Yeah, that
which
was
is really
awesome.
cool. We had 5 guys from Colorado and a guy, Scott, that drove all the way from
San Diego.
San Diego. So,
Yep.
pretty crazy. So I guess we'll just. How do you guys want to cover it? Just start from the very beginning.
Let's just cut to the chase. Who won?
I'm
I'm kidding.
Oh,
Let's not
we'll
go
get
that
to
way.
that. So, I wanted to start the tournament off right, get everybody a nice little taste of Albuquerque. So I stopped at Rebel Donut, picked up
Yay.
a couple batches of delicious artisanal donuts or whatever they want to call them. I don't know. They're amazing dessert donuts. And that's that had everybody buzzing. And we pretty much cracked right into it as soon as the game store opened. Again, I ended up having to play, which I did not want to. I wanted to be able to obviously judge and monitor things, but I
Yeah.
also wanted to go around and take pictures and possibly
Mhm.
video, things like that. I was really hyped about being able to put a bunch of Twitter content up and Facebook content. I just didn't have the opportunity to do a lot of that. I want to put, I asked everybody to take pictures of their games if anything cool happened. They could email them to me or whatever. So I do have some pictures that I'm going to put up here and there.
I think Scott posted something on YouTube for his games too.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he emailed us the link to it. So
Oh, nice.
Oh,
we'll put that in
cool.
the show notes.
I didn't
Right
see
on,
it.
right on. But I guess we can
Let's jump into round 1, right?
jump straight into round 1. So round 1 was
The scenario was
escalation. So this one you split diagonally and
Mhm.
put your objectives down the middle
of that diagonal.
of that diagonal line. Who wants to talk about their game first?
Me? I can do it.
All
Okay.
right.
So I played Jacob, one of the guys from Colorado.
Yeah, Denver guy.
Yep, he was playing He was playing a demon army, mostly corn with some pink cores thrown in for
A little bit of magic.
a little bit of magic, a little bit of shooting.
Fair enough.
He had a pretty cool army. I think he said he'd been playing 40K, so most of his stuff was already painted and on round bases.
Nice.
Nice.
So we set up, did the scenarios. I think this might have been one of his first games of AOS, I want to say.
Yeah, the Denver guys were pretty green coming in.
Yeah.
So.
I think one of them said he had just read the rulebook on the way down.
Oh no.
Well, what did he do with the other 5.5 hours
Yeah, really.
of a 6-hour trip?
So we set up, we played, went pretty well. I walked him through some of the minutia of the game.
Yeah.
Explained to him some of the tactics of piling in and things to watch out for that I think he took to heart in his later games. Landed up, neither of us had too much on the board because you start off with your battle line units. So mine was 3 Judicators, and his was just some
Blood letters?
blood letters. Yes,
Yeah.
words are hard. Was off to a little bit of a slow start. I think he had, I want to say, 5 units of blood letters.
Holy cow.
Wow.
He had an
All 10 man units?
all 10 man units.
Ooh.
He had 2 units of
Got
pink
40K
horrors.
for you.
Mm.
Yep, 2 units of pink horrors. He had an incessant rage bloodthirster
Nice.
Ooh.
and Kairos.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
and a
The
unit
Gateway
of
Bugs. Oh, he had
Cornhounds.
the Forge World.
yeah, he's the guy with the Forge World one.
Yeah, the Forge World Corn Bloodthirster. Yeah, love that model.
Oh God, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
So yeah, we rolled up, pretty much just pushed my adjudicators forward. They kind of shot off some demons. He actually got pretty lucky. I think all the units that I had damaged, each one of them rolled a 1 for his battle shock.
Oh,
And so they all came back.
Wow.
God.
Yeah, Serge, you're right.
So, but luckily I think I got the double turn. So I was able to bring on the Fulminators and
Mm-hmm.
my Heraldor, my Lantern Bro, and destroy. I was actually kind of worried there a little bit towards the end, around turn 3 or 4. He had his Bloodthirster, some Corn Dogs, and Skulltaker into a unit of Fulminators, but was casting the Castellant's Lantern
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
buff on them, so they had a 2-up rerolling 1s, and they kind of just tanked everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, as they do. Yeah.
And I got pretty lucky with the armor saves on the from the Bloodthirster's axe. I think I saved every single one of them. Well,
That's
he's
nice.
he only has like 4 attacks hitting on 4s,
Yeah.
so he was only in like 2 wounds through, and I was able to.
That was a D6 on each one.
Yeah, but you still make the save, and then you multiply the damage after you failed the
Right.
save. So I was only having to make 2 like 4-up saves or something like
Yeah.
that. So it wasn't too bad. And then rerolling the 1s helped with
Yeah.
those shields. So
Yeah, rerolling 1s is nice.
pretty much, I was a little worried turn 3, and then turn 3 the prime came down, and it was kind of all over after that.
Yeah.
I think he killed Kairos. Actually, his -2 bravery came into effect, which was kind of cool at that point. I know my adjudicators had done some work on his pink horrors and killed 8 of them.
Oh, nice.
And so the prime was within 12 inches of those pink horrors. And so he basically had to roll a 1 for his battle shock test.
Oh,
Or because with the -2 bravery, they were already
yeah.
at 10.
10,
So anything but a 1 would have made him pop, and he rolled higher than that. So
Nice.
that was kind of cool. And yeah, prime came down and kind of killed Kairos, killed the horrors. And then my Tempestors just kind of, I think actually they might have taken out the Bloodthirster eventually with their Dracoth Claws. So that was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I asked him afterwards how I think he said he had a fun game. It was kind of a learning experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But cool guy. Good game. And I'll end up winning a major victory on that one because I had more points at the end from the
Yeah.
objectives.
Bill?
Well, I played Gabe from up there in Denver also. And he was playing a high elf army. And again, I don't think he'd played many games with it. Because he was still wondering about, the charge mechanics and whether or not you had to charge through the forward arc and all that stuff. So had to wean him off of that kind of, do whatever you want mentality of Sigmar. But again, we're playing the same escalation. So I started with my battle line units on the board, which were actually Liberators, 3 units of Liberators. I deployed in such a way that I think it was a little too obvious that I was just going to try to outscore him each turn 2-1 by taking 2, not arguing over all 3. I was just going to let him have the other one. But, of course, I had my Vexillor. So the idea there was going to be once Vexillor and all of his friends were on board, I was going to go make it stink. So I think I might have baited him over to the one side of the board. And he did. He committed a lot. Those Elven Bowmen are just nasty. At one point, he rolled 20 attacks with his Bowmen against my Liberators and hit with 19 of them.
Holy
I
cow.
was like, oh my god. But thankfully, I wasn't taking Battle Shock because of the Celestant Prime on the Dracoth.
Yeah.
So by the time everybody got on board, and it was kind of, I think the biggest thing in my favor in that game was he did not bring the Phoenixes on board until turn 3.
He had Phoenixes.
Yeah, he had
Is that dragons? Didn't he have the 3 dragons?
Okay, so it was dragons. Yeah, it wasn't
no,
Phoenixes.
Pretty much
It's
the
just-
same thing, right?
I was
Yeah,
writing
they're-
monsters,
Yeah.
They're mostly the same. All monsters look alike to me.
You're wrong. Oh,
It's
geez.
If
not
they're not-
shiny and gold.
If they're not
No.
shiny and gold, they don't matter.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Gabe. But yeah, anyway, he brought in the dragons on turn 3, which I think might have been just a little late because
Too
by
late.
then they couldn't really impact.
Oh,
So I had built up a lead of points, and we got into a scrum in the center with my paladins against his mounted knights, which actually took the entire game, but I had more knights, and they were obviously more resilient, so I had better numbers than him. So I was scoring it, and he wasn't. So I was getting 2 to 1 point every turn until I finally took the third point with, I used the Venator to teleport, of all things, a unit adjudicator crossbowman to take that.
Geez.
Yeah, he beat me up pretty bad. He deleted that unit, but it was fun to take some pressure off the other side. So yeah, it was a good game. I think we had fun. I think he learned a lot about ignoring what you know about 8th edition and just start playing where you don't have all those limitations. You're not limited so much. So hopefully he had a fun game. I didn't actually ask him.
Yeah, they seem to be pretty upbeat.
Yeah,
at the end of
yeah,
it,
I'm
so.
pretty sure. What about your third game or first game?
So my first game, well, I didn't think I was going to have to play, but I brought an army anyways, fortunately. So I brought my Iron Jaws because they're easy to transport.
Well, let's caveat this real quick.
Oh.
You did not bring a ringer army. You brought an army to play with in the tournament. I don't want anybody to think that you were running a ringer army.
Oh,
So
okay. Oh, okay. Well, is this where we should take a pause and you guys pile it on?
Yeah.
no,
Or do we
no,
want to wait till the end?
we're gonna do it live.
Oh man. Okay. So, anyways, I had like just a few minutes to throw an army together. You know, I just kind of had to take what I had access.
That makes us feel
to.
so better.
Yeah.
Sounds like Rob Symes when he was talking about his South Coast. I just took whatever and
Yeah.
this happened.
I
I thought
mean-
those were Thunder Tusks and they ended up being Stonehorns. Or,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just like my models because they look cool. I figured, you know, it'd be nice to run them around on the table. Anyways, round one, I played Chad, one of our local guys, and he was running an all corn army. It wasn't completely bloodbound. It was just mostly
Mm-hmm.
corn mortals. He had some slaves to darkness with marks of corn and stuff on them. We misread the rules, the deployment thing, and took it to mean that when you're setting up your first wave, you put the battle line unit of that third down first, and then put something else. So we
Oh.
put a battle line unit down and then some characters. It did make a difference. He put a 40-man unit of Blood Reavers down, and I put a 20-man unit of Brutes. Don't look at me like that. Anyway. Anyways.
This is bad radio, but it's funny.
They met in the middle and had a nice handshake.
Mm.
Yeah, it was a pretty rough game for Chad. The Brutes pretty much just sat on the middle objective
Yeah.
and absolutely ripped apart anything that came near them. They killed 40 Blood Reavers. They killed 6 Skull Crushers. They killed a couple of characters. He brought in 20 Blood Warriors on the flank that they were starting to work their way through by the time we got to the end of the game. Yeah, it was. They killed a bunch of Marauder Horsemen, I think. I don't remember. It was just a blender in the middle of the board. They just killed absolutely everything. So, and again, Chad is still fairly new to it. He's really trying to figure out how his Bloodbound work and just
Getting the synergies down and
yeah. You can tell he's kind of tempted to move on to something else, but he also wants to figure out the army he has too. So, more power to him.
Yeah.
Speaking of armies, maybe we should go over what we took to the
You
tournament.
want to talk about our
Or-
armies?
Our
we
thoughts
probably
behind
should.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I know probably after the games, after we're talking about our games, I want to go into a little bit what we learned from the tournament and
Sure.
stuff going forward. But
Mm-hmm.
Okay, do we want to recap our armies now then after we're done with round one?
sure,
Yeah, we could start with James.
okay. So I pretty much took my Slobberknocker list. It was too close to that tournament. I didn't have time to
Paint anything.
I had time to paint anything or think about. Well, I did try to paint some stuff. I was trying to paint 5 prosecutors and 15 liberators in 2 weeks. It didn't happen.
Pan out,
No,
yeah.
I told my wife I was going to take a break from painting when I got back. So
Oh,
I was able to get the protectors out, but wasn't able to make the liberators. So I just took pretty much my Slobberknocker list through the Star Drake that I had on for my sideboard. So I was looking for the Prime, Heraldor, Venator, Lord Castellan. So he was new. And then my Beast Mage, 3 units of Judicators, 4 Fulminators, and 2 Tempestors. So looking at the scenarios, it looked like, I know a lot of them require 5 models to score or more models. I wasn't too worried about that because I figured I was just going to take my opponents off. There wasn't going to be anything left within 6 inches of it to matter.
Right.
So I was going to have the objective anyway.
Yeah.
It kind of worked out like that. And
Did it though?
in some of the games. I think after the experience, I have some points in the list that aren't core to it. So I'm probably after this experience. I'll
Little
probably
fat that needs to be trimmed.
yeah. There's some stuff in there I can play with.
Fair enough.
What about your list? Well, you said you told us that you threw your list
Well,
together.
yeah. So I took the Mega Boss on foot, 2 Weird Knob Shamans, and a War Chanter, and then a 20-man unit of Brutes, a 10-man unit of Brutes, 10 Ardboys, and 3 Gorgruntas. And I took the Iron Fist formation, the one that lets you move D6 in the... Don't shake your head at me like that, Bill. What's wrong? What's
Nothing.
wrong, buddy?
Nothing at all.
Oh, okay.
Just the underpowered Iron Jaws who probably can't play.
Anyways,
kind of
yeah.
a footnote
So
in
I took that
AOS history.
formation. I was down like 40 points, down like 60
Aw.
points. Yeah, I didn't quite hit 2,000. I was playing an underpowered list. Bill, what'd you take?
I'm sorry. I'm about to spew my soda here.
Yeah.
I took a list that had just about everything I built so far for Sigmar. So I had Celestant Prime, Castellant, Vexilor as my heroes, and I would swap the Heraldor in and out depending on the terrain on the board.
Oh, yeah.
Then I had a unit that I'm trying to make work well, which is the double-bladed Liberators, a unit of 5 of those. Of course, 10 of the Shield and Hammer Liberators, a unit of 10 Paladin Protectors, with only 3, not 4 Star Soul Maces. So I'm
Yeah, I
trying
was
to
wondering about that.
trying to keep the filth down. You know?
Oh, yeah. Sure.
And also I built one wrong, so I lost count along the way. Of course, the Lord Celestant on the Dracoth was the general, and he had 2 concussors with him, and of course 5 Judicators with crossbows and 5 Judicators with bows.
Yeah,
So grouped into one unit sometimes and not other times. So depending on what the scenario called for. And we had that freedom in the tournament to, play with your units because we had a 500-point sideboard, was it?
yeah.
So yeah, you could put things in and out depending on the scenario.
Oh, what did you guys take for command traits and artifacts?
So being a Stormcast player playing with the Prime, I don't have very many options.
Yeah.
Nothing really works for me. So I took, for my command trait, I took the reroll charges within 10 inches. I put that on the Venator, the Night Venator. And because I figured he was the fastest, he'd be able to just keep up with my Fulminators for that charge. And then I gave him, for the artifacts, since he's a bow kind of guy and wasn't going to be in combat that much, most of the items are kind of worthless. So I just gave him, I think, the Phoenix Gem, the one that gives him a wound back every hero
Wound
phase.
back every hero phase.
Oh.
That's what I took.
It was kind of just, eh.
What about you, Bill?
I took the Phoenix Stone for the Celestin on Dracoth
Okay.
to heal a wound every hero phase.
Which I think you forgot to do.
Well, if he lived through a hero phase once he started getting damaged, yes. But otherwise, it was a moot point. And then I don't honestly remember the command trait I took. I want to say I had the one with the charges, but it was of no value only in the 3rd game. It paid off in the 2nd game because I actually had the Rudy Toot in that one. So that made it really nice. When you have the ability to pull a unit out, give them the ability to retreat and charge in the same round and let them re-roll it.
Yeah.
That was handy.
I'm kind of curious how many people totally forgot about battle traits and their artifacts and stuff.
I completely forgot in the first game.
Yeah.
Simply because we were going over some of the, the mechanics and all that stuff with Gabe, and it didn't really come into it.
Yeah. For my command trait, I took the Great Bellower.
Oh.
And so it's where you roll a d6 on whoever has it, and then you pick a unit within whatever you rolled, and they get +1 to hit. And then I took the Talisman of Preservation, which gives you a 4-up save against mortal wounds.
So no filth in any of those.
I honestly didn't. I never used the Talisman of Preservation. I would have rather have had the.
Yes, you did.
Did I?
You were re-rolling my mortal wounds.
What did you do mortal wounds with? Oh, that's right. Okay, that was the only time that it came up. We'll get to that. But honestly, I think I would have been better off taking the ale or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That you drink. You take 1 swig and it gives you +1
Right.
to hit. You just take 2 swigs and you take
Get
damage.
+2 or...
Yeah. I think that probably would have been the better item on the war boss on foot, because he's... Yeah, I'll get onto him in my games. So the first game against the Bloodbound, the Khorne Mortal Army, he fought a Slaughter Priest, did not kill him. Slaughter Priest ran away.
Jeez.
Then he fought a Skull Grinder and died to a Skull Grinder.
Oh my god.
So, remember how for Slobberknocker I did a kill sheet
Yes.
for Scarbrand?
Yeah.
I'll do one for my Mega Boss, and it will be very, very short.
The list is not long nor
No.
distinguished.
So yeah, he didn't do anything the first game,
Bummer.
but I did end up winning that one,
Yeah.
major victory. So
I think
Alright.
we all got major victories in the first round, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
I believe so.
So-
round 2, James,
Ding ding.
who'd you play?
Some guy with some pretty filthy army. I think it was Iron Jaws.
Well, I didn't think the Iron Jaws were all that great. I mean, I knew they were
he's just pulling a Curry, saying they're horrible. They're so underpowered, hoping that GW gives them
I
a
don't
boost
think
later.
that individual ever said they were underpowered. I just think that individual said that they didn't have a lot of mobility, which has been rectified by the
And also
general
said that
Rambo.
literally they cannot play this game. But anyway.
We're talking about Iron Jaws, not Seraphon.
I'm just going back.
Yeah, so you and I played.
Yep.
We played the Border War? No.
Yeah, it was Border War.
Border War is where you have 4 objectives, 2 of which are in each player's deployment area, and then 2 that are along the middle. And you get more points. You get 1 point for having the objective in your own deployment. You get 2 for having the ones in the middle. And you get 4 for having the one in your opponent's.
Yeah.
So, and you have to have... it doesn't matter.
It's
You
whoever
have
has
to
the
have
most
more models.
more models,
Yeah.
and that was the only stipulation.
And you
Yep.
also continue to possess it even if you leave. the
Right.
area. You don't have to sit on top of it. So that was pretty cool.
And that was a huge rule in my game.
We had some questions in this game,
Oh, yeah.
which the I
So-
think the TO ruled wrong, but hey, whatever.
Well,
Pro
Well,
tip,
he was
before
busy.
running a tournament, listen to an episode of Facehammer.
they'll tell you how to run.
Yeah,
a
they'll
tournament.
tell you how to play the game. Yeah, so I got this one wrong. It tells you to score the objectives at the end of the player turn. Now, I took that to mean at the end of turn 1, at the
Mhm.
end of turn 2. Kind of like we've been playing for the last, 30 years.
Forever.
But no, that is not, in fact, how it's done.
When you read the when you read the rules, the game of AOS is broken down into battle rounds. There's 5 of them in this case,
Right.
and each battle round is broken down into a player turn.
2-player turn.
2 player, yeah.
Two-player
Each player
turns,
has a player turn in that battle round.
So that means that you would score and then I would score, and it makes a big difference because if you get the double turn, you essentially get double scores. And
Right.
You do, but like I was trying to point out too, like if you go first, that means you have to survive. If you do it the way we were doing it, you'd have to survive
yeah,
the other person's turn. You get the objective, but then you have to survive
Yeah.
them killing you.
They're
Whereas I think
counterattack.
this one kind of makes it a little bit fair. That way you can claim it at the end of your turn.
yeah, I get it. It definitely introduces a new dynamic to the way scoring is done.
Yeah.
And the reason I ruled it the way that I did, even though it was wrong, was because we had so many newer players.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured it would be easier to do it the way everyone was just accustomed to scoring rounds, which is at the end of the round,
Right.
essentially. So I did get that one wrong.
And actually, a tip for anyone running a tournament: whenever you're making your pack, I just thought of this, that when you're doing the score sheets for like round 1, round 2, round 3, it actually would probably help if you broke it down. You had a spot for them to write down the points for each.
For each turn.
Oh,
Each
yeah, I did
turn.
notice
Each player
people were
turn.
drawing
I was
little
drawing it on mine,
grids.
so I was figuring maybe
Yeah.
next time when we have one, to actually put that on the sheet.
Yeah,
Sure.
that
Makes
makes
it-
sense.
And
easy.
it would inherently explain how the scoring is
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, we clear up a lot of.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Okay, so anyways, our game. So I let you go first.
Yep, because you dropped pretty much your whole army, and
Yeah, so I deployed my whole army basically as a formation except for the characters.
No filter.
Calm down over there, Bill. So I let you go first. You kind of anticipated what my army. was
yeah, I knew what your
capable
army
of.
was gonna do. I knew you were gonna move forward 2d6, move, and then charge. So I kind of set up pretty far back.
Yeah.
If I think, and that's the first turns where I kind of lost the game, because I think for every other after the first turn, every battle round, I was tying you for objective points.
Yeah.
I think in that first one I didn't score any because of the way we had played it. Was I claimed some of them, but you moved on top of me and killed the guys that were
Yeah.
claiming them. So that's what netted me netted me I think 1 objective point for that round instead of the possible 5 that I could have had.
I think your mistake was you had the unit of 4 fulminators and you charged them into the 10-man unit of brutes that I kind of put a little bit further up, hoping that you would take that, because then I'll feed you the 10 brutes to hit you with the unit of 20 and take off
Yeah, I think
essentially your whole army. with
that was
it.
that was another mistake too. But
And you could have used your full 4 fulminators on the charge against my biggest unit and really knocked the teeth out of my
yeah,
army.
I should have let you. I think I should still let you, even though I knew you were going to be in my turn phase 2. I should still just let you get there. That way, I have the adjudicators and everything else to help. Support it.
Instead of just throwing the 4 fulminators out there by themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that strategy works, like as we'll discuss in the next game, in the Gift from the Heavens. I think that kind of strategy works really well.
Yeah.
But for this scenario, I don't think it's necessarily the best thing.
Yeah. Oh, plus you had the failed charge from the prime.
Oh yeah, that's where this is the game where I usually don't blame dice. I still don't.
Flame him.
I know.
Flame him
no,
away.
I never like to blame dice. You can always. I always say
that's right. I won because James's dice failed him.
which is fine. I mean, I knew that going in, so I was still trying to anticipate it. Like I said, I never blame my dice ever. Even if they fail me, it's there's always something you can try to do to, and anticipating that you're gonna
Yeah.
fail or you're gonna roll badly, you can always try to overcompensate.
Yeah.
So
So in this game, the war boss hung out in the back. Well, because pretty much my whole army did, because you came to me. Then the brutes took off running to go get objectives, and he still stayed in the back because I anticipated the prime coming down, trying to change things up. And sure enough, he dropped the prime. He failed the charge. I was like, oh, here we go.
Oh God!
Here comes the war boss. I'm gonna get myself a prime.
Taste of prime.
Charged the prime. Rolled the dice. I got a rend 1/2 damage axe with 6 attacks. Hit you. Did 8 wounds, and I was like, oh man, I finally killed the prime. And you're like, I'll change one of the armor saves to a success. No! Oh, he was so close to actually doing something, and then the Ard boys killed you. But
yeah,
oh,
not before the prime.
Yeah, before the
smacked him
prime
around.
pasted him. I was so close to being so proud of my guy.
And then he let you
Yeah,
down.
he let me down.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
Ah.
That's so sad.
So yeah, he's 0 for 2 on getting any kind of a kill. Pathetic.
Oh well.
All right, Bill, how'd your round 2 go? Oh, I ended up Ended
with the
up
major.
squeaking out a major victory over the Stormcast.
Yeah, I think I was like, even if we did score it the way you were supposed to, I think we would have been tied on objectives, but you still would have beat me on battle points.
So I would have gotten a minor victory.
Yeah.
So, all right, Bill.
Well, so for game 2, we obviously played the same scenario, but I played Mike Youngblood, local player here, and he was using his army, except I've done this battle report once before. His arachnophobia list
He just had more goblins
Just-
this time.
had so much more, but of course I had more too. In this one, the deployment was crazy. Again, I tried to sucker him into over deploying to one side, and I think it worked. I didn't ask him directly if I fainted over there, and he responded with all of his heavy hitters on one side of the board. And again, I have that wonderful teleport ability, which just lets me pretty much redeploy my heavy hitters wherever I need them. I didn't have to do it in this game, but it came in super handy because the way it worked out, I had my bowman on a flank, hoping to tie down his unit of 40, 60, 80, 100, whatever grots it was. I think it was 60 grots or 40 grots.
I think it was a unit of 60.
60.
I remember
grots.
him instantly regretting putting all those models on the table.
Yes, and then having to
Realizing
move
that He was
them.
going to have to move
in-
them, yeah.
We actually ended up during the game, I helped him move them, and then at one point we just started shoving them en masse because it just didn't
Didn't he?
matter.
I thought he had movement trays at some point.
He did.
Okay.
He had them on movement trays, but took them off. But he had the elementals. He had the big arachnid or arachnarok. Plus, he had what was that other one? He had the two
the
big
incarnate
elementals.
elemental of beast and an
Yeah.
incarnate elemental of fire.
Fire,
Yeah.
right? I used my liberators to tie up the fire guy, knowing that they were going to die, but hoping that they would tie him up for a turn. They actually tied him up for 3 turns, while the paladin protectors went in and deleted the arachnarok and then deleted the other elemental. It made for a big gaping hole. I was able to hold on to my victory point, the one that was on my side of the board, and then the other objective that was on the side with the elementals, he had the elemental there, but I had the unit of 10 liberators, so I had the more, so I had control of it,
model, yeah.
and he couldn't take it from me. And then I think he didn't see what he was doing here, but when he moved that unit of 60 away, it left his, which was my 4-point objective, wide open. So what I ended up doing was teleporting a unit of crossbow wielding, I did the double-bladed liberators. I put them over on his objective, and I was scoring 4 points for 2 turns. It became undoable for him to fight back to that. So I was actually able to eke out a major victory on that one, just because that 2 turns of 8 points was just too much for him to overcome in the time we had, in the number of rounds we had. It was a good game, though. I think we had fun.
It's kind of an interesting point. I was listening to the Black Sun earlier, and Chris was talking about, he kind of had an issue with these missions that require a number of models to be around to claim them, and he said maybe use like wounds instead. I don't know.
No. I mean, every army or every faction at least has access to
Battle
models.
line units, yeah.
I mean, and you can try what I did. I mean, if you take off the unit, there's nothing left within it, so you have more
Yeah.
models. I mean, it's a strategy. I don't know if it's the best strategy, but stuff changes. There's scenarios there for a reason to make you.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Russ is on the latest Facehammer went by and he said that when they went over there to GW, that's what they really helped him with was the scenarios.
Yeah.
And I see his hand in that because they're all scored differently. They all require different things. I know
Mhm.
that was one of the things I liked about the South Coast comp was it was very different. It required you to take monsters. It required you to take
Yes.
heroes. It required you to take number of bodies. As opposed to Clash was all about foot troops.
Yeah.
And characters really didn't matter at all.
Oh yeah.
So I think you have a really good variety in the scenarios.
And it helps it too. It balances out. You're forced to take those tax units.
Yeah, you're not
So-
min-maxing here
Yeah.
and doing that other stuff. I've been looking at the list and how to score all of them, other than the 3 places of power that really throws a whole wrench in the thing. You can make you have to make a pretty diverse list.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
can't be taken.
You can play with Archeon and 14 Varangard, but you won't win any match play
Yeah,
games.
or 6,
You
4
know.
Stormhorns or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, same thing. The Beast Claws. You can play that army, but you're not going to win many scenarios. You'll delete a lot of units, but
Well, I guess it's one of the interesting. Well, I don't want to derail this, but
Mhm.
there's the Facehammer GT where you get the 2 lists.
yeah,
Yeah, so
that's kind of a neat,
yeah, you could.
very neat.
That's a cool way to change it up.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
be able to bring some of the fun lists that you want.
Yeah.
So that
Round
was
3?
it for. Well, then we did our dinner break.
Yeah.
So
that was good chicken. God,
Yeah, did you like that?
I really did. That was.
So I brought in. I cooked up a bunch of buffalo chicken and brought in some coleslaw and some potato
Tater salad.
Yeah, tater salad. And fed everyone lunch. Well, it's kind of a late lunch,
Sort of a
early
late
dinner,
dinner. Yeah.
at this point, yeah, it seemed to go over
Yeah, I think everybody loved
pretty
it.
well.
So.
So, and it was easy, just crock pot,
Mhm.
bunch of chicken breasts, and a couple bottles of buffalo sauce, and boom, dinner served. So that was we all, for the most part, we all just kind of hung out.
Mm-hmm. And oddly enough, we talked about Age of Sigmar.
Yeah.
Who knew?
So yeah.
So that's
Game-
it for the tournament then, right? And I think we're done.
Yeah. What's wrong, Bill? You want to talk about round 3? Why don't you talk about your round 3 there, James, first?
okay. So for round 3, I had to play Andrew, who I seem to always have to play. So it landed up being Stormcast on Stormcast. He took mostly foot Stormcasts. I think he had a couple of units of Liberators, a 6-man unit of Prosecutors with the Javelins,
Oh, yeah.
which he was using in a formation to teleport 2 units of Paladins. He had a unit of Retributors, or I think they were both. No, 1 unit of Retributors and 1 unit of Protectors. And then he had another unit of Protectors, which he kept all his artillery behind because he had 2 cannons with Engineer giving him rerolls.
Oh, man.
I think he learned a little bit from Scott at the Slobberknocker. So he had that list. This scenario was the Gift from the Heavens, where you set up, regular battle line way, and then on turn 2, the comets come down and land in a random quadrant of your table. And I think for this scenario, you need more models than your opponent, with no enemy models within 6 inches.
Yeah.
So pretty much you gotta have no one within 6 inches of it. So we set up for this one. I believe he went first. Yeah, I finished deploying. I let him go first. He shot off my knight, or he shot off my Heraldor turn 1 with his cannons. Totally pasted him. I think he rolled. I think he
I remember
he
that,
hit
yeah.
with both of them. Wounded with both of them. I failed both my armor saves and proceeded to roll 12 wounds on him.
Yeah.
Sent him back to Sigmar.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what he shot off turn 1. My turn 1 moved up. Played pretty aggressively. I couldn't run and charge since he had killed the Heraldor. But I pretty much just ran all my Dracoths up. He had set up pretty far back because he knew that I was going to have the double turn. So he set up a little back on his line. So I pretty much moved my entire army forward. Most of the Judicators were out of range because he had made sure to check that. And so rolled up for priority. Landed up getting the double turn. And proceeded to charge my Fulminators into his really buffed unit of Prosecutors. And when they got into combat, they proceeded to do 0 wounds.
Oh.
I actually set up, I think in this one I had set it up as 1 unit of 4 again, which is,
Prosecutors?
well, they were in cover,
Okay.
and he had the lantern buff on them.
Okay.
So they were on a 2-up rerolling 1s,
How do they get reroll ones?
because they have shields.
Mm-hmm.
The Javelins have shields.
Oh,
Yeah, let them
Javelin
reroll.
guys have
right.
shields.
Yeah, I'm so used to them having the hammers.
That let them reroll 1s. So they were on a 2-up rerolling 1s, and he got pretty lucky with the armor
He
saves.
loves those Javelin units.
Yeah. So I got 4 Dracoths with the buffs into them, and proceeded to do no wounds,
Wow.
which, happens.
Yeah.
And I got my Tempestor into his Lantern guy and was able to take him off. My objective came down that turn and landed up being in my left-hand corner.
Hmm.
And I luckily had a unit of Judicators there because I put up 5-man
Nice.
unit of Judicators in each
Just in case.
each section of the board, right where the combat was going to come down,
Oh, yeah.
just in case. They claimed it for that turn. His turn 2 came around, and the objective came down right in the middle of his board. But that just happened to be where my Fulminators and Tempestors were. He moved around. He was able to bring down a unit of Retributors. He had the Lord Celestant on foot, which was giving all his guys +1 to hit. So those Retributors were pretty
nasty.
pretty nasty. I don't think he had any Star Soul Maces in that one unit because he was counting on doing mortal wounds with the 5s and
Oh, just
6s.
the hammers, yeah.
So we did that. He took off, I want to say he took off, I think, both Fulminators and took off 2 Fulminators and I believe both Tempestors that round. So he
Damn.
put, I think my dice were still doing pretty bad at that point, but I'd already accepted the fact that they had lost their juju.
Yeah.
So we scored for that point, and then we didn't score at that point. We thought it was going to be at the end of the round, and that's when we read the rules pack, the actual scenario, and I had read, it's player turn, and I knew that the scoring in this one was different because the last one was more models within 6 inches. This was with more models within 6 and no enemy models, so I thought it was scoring differently than the
Right.
previous scenario. So that's the way I was playing it. Apparently he was playing it the other way that Elric had ruled in the second round, which is, I should have made it more clear to him, or, said we should have been clear with each other which way we thought we were scoring.
Or your TO can figure out how to
Read the
run
rules.
something. Yeah.
So,
But he was busy, so.
yeah, he was busy, so it's excusable.
They can't see that, Bill.
Oh, I'm sorry, bad radio again, but I'm just throwing up on my mouth a little bit.
So when that landed up being, because I'd played so aggressively with those Fulminators and his objective come down right in the middle, they landed up being within 6 inches of his objective the entire time. So he missed out scoring on round 2 and round 3 because I think it took him 2 rounds to kill those Dracoth Riders.
No.
And by that time I was already, I think, 5 points ahead at that point. Because it increases for each turn.
Yeah.
In turn 2, you score 2, then 3, then 4, then 5 points for the objectives. It slowly gets more and more. So I think I was already 5 points up at that point. And he had none because I was contesting with like 1 Dracoth Rider in the back that wouldn't die. And then turn 3, I think the Prime came down. And since I knew he had pushed up towards my objective pretty far, and I knew that I didn't want him contesting mine, so my Prime kind of went YOLO and went into a unit of... I was expecting him to die,
Yeah.
pretty much. I was just trying to buy time
Yeah.
to score points for that objective. And so he went into he went into his general, and the unit of protectors totally splatted the Lord Celestin off.
Wow.
And then he got charged by a unit of protectors, still was attacked by the prosecutors, and then a unit of 5 judicators came up on him.
Oh, jeez.
And I believe this is the turn where he shot both his cannons at the Prime, and both hit, both wounded, and the Prime needed 5s to survive, and this is where my luck started coming back, and I rolled 2 6s for my saves.
Nice.
Yeah. I remember that little outburst.
Oh, I think I do too, yeah.
So the Prime survived. He attacked with the Star Soul Maces and the protectors and everything, and I believe the Prime landed up on 7 wounds.
Oh, wow.
So he was almost dead, and he was hanging on by a thread, but he smacked down those protectors, the paladins with the
Yeah, the protectors.
with the lances, killed all 5 of them with one swing,
Nice.
which is what he does. And so, and so he started pushing towards my objective at that point, and I started. What was left of my army was what was in that corner was staying in that corner, trying to hide from his cannons and from his judicators. And then my other judicators I had set up in the other table quarters were actually slowly but surely trugging along towards his objective in the middle, hoping to hopefully deny him it by turn 4 or 5 and being alive. And pretty much that's what happened. By turn 5, I had 2 units of adjudicators there, and he basically had to kill 2 units of adjudicators. And it came down to, I think he had killed 1 unit. The other unit had 2 guys left, and so I needed a battle shock. He killed 3 of them. They're bravery 6, so I needed a 3 or less.
Oh.
Or no, I needed a 4 or less because I could lose one guy. And I think I rolled a 1 for my battle shock. So he stuck around, preventing him from scoring that objective in turn 5, which is worth 5 points.
Yeah.
So that was pretty huge.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a pretty good game. We'll talk about what happened later.
Yeah.
But
So Bill,
Yeah.
you were coming into round 3 off of 2 big wins,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
I think there was only one other person that was also coming into round 3 on 2
On
big wins.
2 majors. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your round 3 there, buddy.
Well, in round 3, I decided to go back to the normal, Celestin Prime, concussors, the whole thing, because I knew I was facing just a filthy list. So, one that didn't really, when you're going to whack, you're going to whack. In case anybody hasn't realized it was Elric and I at the top table in the final round. And it was the same scenario, of course, gift from the heavens. So the way I deployed was I put all my power in the center and put the 2 weakest units I had on the flanks, thinking that if the comet comes down in the center, I win, or at least draw. And if it comes down on one of the 2 flanks, I can hopefully use Vexillor to bring power over there. The problem is the dice were just in somebody else's favor, and okay, that wasn't it. The problem is my deployment really did catch me out because it did land on one of my flanks, and I had no idea how fast you moved.
Yeah. So turns out when Iron Jaws get to move 2d6 in the hero phase,
Yeah.
and then another 4 in the movement phase, and then charge 2d6.
Yeah. They
Pretty
can cover
nasty.
quite a bit of territory. And the other thing, too, that really played into your favor was you gave me first turn.
Yeah.
And so I wiggled around a little bit and, moved an inch forward and then an inch back. So I wasn't going to go near you. In your turn, I think you shuffled around a little bit, too, and said, okay, that's the
I
end
think
of
I
that.
launched the 20 brute.
Yeah,
squad
you started
at
them
you,
down the...
because I knew that
Yeah.
the rest of my army could hang out
Right.
and be ready for the comet to drop. So,
Well, yeah, I think you knew I wasn't coming for you.
Yeah,
So.
I know. Yeah, I think your deployment was a bit off because your flanks were just so weak.
Well,
And it
yeah,
was-
purposely, but it just
Right.
totally didn't work. But then when you got the double turn, not turn 1 to turn 2, but turn 2 to turn 3, that was huge.
Yeah.
Because I was going to use that turn to use Vexillor to move at least the concussors over to give some strength to the meteor that fell on my side. But by that time it was too little too late, and they ended up actually having a little bit of effect on maybe saving the game later on. But
Yeah.
yeah, turns 2 and 3 turned into just a orc bloodbath. I don't mean any orcs died, because I don't think they did. Lots and lots of gold stuff died.
Yeah, I might have picked a model or 2 up.
I
don't know.
think you did. I think I hit a couple. Well, I know the Star Soul Maces were deleting some guys.
Yeah,
So-
you were getting some good wounds there.
Yeah.
But, yeah, the rest of it was pretty downhill.
Yeah, Foots of Gork and rolling 40 to 45 dice on your normal attacks.
Yeah, those hitting on 2s with rerolls walls.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty ugly.
I actually had a chance to get a draw at the very end. I
very
forgot
end.
to bring the prime on turn 3.
Yeah.
Didn't bring him in until turn 4, and he had an outside chance of maybe salvaging the draw.
Yeah, but he had to drop 2
Yeah.
Gore-gruntas and
Yeah.
7 Ardboys.
Ardboys to
which
do
is
it.
actually doable.
Yeah, it was.
Because you direct most of the attacks on the gruntas to
Mhm.
just kill them outright, and then a few attacks on Ardboys,
Yep.
kill a few of them, and hopefully get their bravery down.
Yeah,
and they
and
fail
battle
and
shock
run.
'em.
Plus, you also had the Vexillor.
The
over
Vexillor
there
was still there
chopping
fighting.
away, but he's actually terrible in combat.
Yeah, he's
so-
not great, but that's not his shtick. That's not what
No.
he does.
So, but yeah, it just didn't pan out well.
No, I learned a life lesson there is that, yeah, don't do that kind of a deployment against orcs because they will just eat you piecemeal.
Yeah.
So instead
that's
of
basically
eating
what
you
happened.
from a point of strength,
I was able
you know.
to dictate all the
Yeah.
combats where I wanted to,
Exactly.
what I wanted to fight,
Yep.
when I wanted to fight. Yeah.
Yep.
The war boss charged in against a Lord Celestin on Dracoth.
Yes, he did.
Failed to kill him.
Failed to kill him.
Ah.
He came pretty darn close, though.
Yeah, Lord Celestin
So.
did nothing. Or I'm sorry, the war boss.
War boss did
nothing for 3 games. But you know what? That's not his role. He's really not that choppy, which is crazy because for being a foot character, he's probably the choppiest
Mm-hmm.
foot character out there, and yet he just can't bring
Mhm.
anything down. But that's fine because that's not what he's about. He's
Mhm.
about he lets you reroll 1s for brute squads
Yep.
that are within 5 inches of him, and with his command trait,
Yeah.
like I said, I gave him the Great Bellower, so I had a War Chanter give 1 unit of brutes plus
Mhm.
1 to hit, and then he would yell at the other unit of brutes, give them plus 1 to hit, and now you have
Yeah.
two units of brutes that are both hitting on
That are
2s.
hitting on 2s and
So-
rerolling 1s.
Yeah,
So.
it's kind of tasty.
Yeah, it's when you're picking up 40 die or 50 dice on the attacks, right? 5 attacks.
Yeah, oh, and then he
5 on the-
wogs. His
yeah, he
command ability
wogs.
is amazing.
Yeah.
So it gives each dude 5 attacks.
Yeah, so he's not really supposed to be up there. He's supposed to be directing everybody to go
Yeah.
do his dirty work.
Yep.
So
pretty much.
he's already done that kind of crap. But yeah, it was a good game. It was pretty fun. I think we were laughing more than we were playing. But
Yeah. it was
mostly because
alright.
I was like, filthy army,
Yeah.
filthy freaking orcs.
So is this? No. Well, let's. You want to get into the awards and all that stuff, or
True,
Oh.
we can do that, and then we'll
Yeah,
talk
we
about what we learned from
Yeah,
the
we
tournament.
Sure.
do the awards.
One highlight is, and I talked about it briefly. I'm not sure where we'll slot in the interview with Jules, but we got to see Cetra versus Nagash.
Oh, yeah.
Which was so cool. When I found out both of them were at the tournament, I wanted to make that happen, and it actually worked out.
Yeah, I think
Nice.
Jules was hoping to get Nagash
Yeah.
round 3.
Right,
And
right.
he did. He told me before. He's like, I want to play Nagash. I want to play Nagash.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah,
Very
I
nice.
thought it was so cool. And it's unfortunate. I mean, it makes sense that Nagash would put Cetra down so quick. But
Oh, yeah.
how anticlimactic for Nagash to just go down to a wall of snakes.
wall.
Well, I think the snakes and the 50 archers took him
Yeah.
down.
Get him in.
Pew pew.
But that's
You
awesome.
just can't roll enough 4-ups against that. So
Yeah, exactly. So I think that was like one of my big highlights.
Yeah,
from
it was cool.
Oh, and seeing Gabe's 3 dragons fly around
Oh,
and breathe on stuff. It was like
Oh, my
3d6
God.
mortal wounds or something
Yes.
like that.
When he brought that unit on in our game, I was like, oh, my God, thank God it's turn 3, because he was just...
Yeah.
Well, he did the Celestin Prime in one turn with those 3
Oh,
dragons.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's
And, yeah,
Pretty
I
cool.
failed the charge with the Celestin Prime that round, and he just looked at me and laughed, and I'm like, what? What's so cool about... Oh.
I was cheering for anytime the Forge World Bloodthirster killed stuff. It
Oh,
was
yeah.
just, so cool to see that thing. I want to get one so bad, but it's hard
I hear
to
you.
justify it.
I know.
So, yeah, pretty cool.
So, what was the finishing order?
So, Best Painted actually went to Scott from
Mhm.
San Diego with his...
Beautiful.
Night Haunts.
Is it Night Haunt
Night
or
Haunts.
Soul Blight?
No,
Soul
it's,
Blight.
is it Soul?
I always get the two mixed up. I can almost guarantee it's Soul Blight.
Is Soul Blight.
I'll check the app. You keep talking.
Okay.
Okay.
So his army, it was in all ghosts, and which looked awesome when he put it on the table.
Yeah.
On top of that, pretty dirty list.
Yeah.
Nothing in the army is. It's Night Haunts.
Okay. You're wrong.
Well, fair enough. Nothing in the army is affected by rend.
Right.
So you really just got to beat it down with weight of attacks.
Mhm.
He just has a bunch of multiple wound models that, pretty resilient. I'm trying to think.
It was a nice beat
I
down
think
army.
He won 2, lost 1, or I don't know.
I think he had a major and a minor victory going into
Maybe.
the third.
Something, yeah, but it was a pretty tough list.
I know he didn't lose a game, I don't think.
No, he did.
Did
Did he?
Andrew won a minor on him.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So, anyways, he won. He won best painted.
Nice.
Best sports went to
The other Andrew.
Andrew.
G.
I put him as Andrew C.
Yeah, no, it
Yeah,
is C. It
whoops.
is Andrew C.
Yeah, he was Gabe's son.
Yeah.
And I wish I would have gotten their last name
Yeah.
better down. Ryan told me once and I forgot it. But anyways, he won best sports, which is really cool.
Yep.
Third place went to Ryan with his Sylvaneth.
Who scored? I think how many battle points did he score? All
Sort of
Well, okay.
12 or something. I don't know. He killed next to nothing, even against a bloodbound army with no armor.
Yeah.
That was bad. I think he got like maybe 600-700.
yeah,
points
something
at
like
end of
that. The whole
tournament.
entire tournament.
But that's it's all about the objective points,
Mhm.
tournament points,
Yep.
and that's what he kept his eye on, and his army just didn't have teeth, but it had staying power to hold
Yeah.
objectives. So
That's what counts.
second place went to our Andrew here in Albuquerque with his Stormcast with some cannons.
Huzzah for order.
Yeah. So, and then first. I took first. I won my own tournament.
And we've been giving you hell about it ever
I'm
since.
that guy.
Pull to Crisio.
Yeah. So, all right, guys, let's hear it. Get it
I'm-
all out of your system.
Actually, the weight is better than the payoff because I'm not going to give you any. If you were trying to play a ringer army and beat people, with an underpowered army, it would be one thing. But you brought an army to play, and you wanted to play. So I don't begrudge you winning it at all.
To be fair, I didn't want to play. I would have
Right, and that's it.
Ran it.
You didn't want to,
But I did play an army similar to
Yeah.
probably what I would have played any
yeah.
Friday night.
Well,
so,
it's what you would have played. So
yeah. So, yeah, and the tournament organizer that wins his own events.
yeah, I think you've taken enough crap for it already.
Oh man.
Oh
So,
Lord.
What are we going to talk about? Things we learned?
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Things we see. I know I was listening to the latest Feast Hammer, and they were talking about how they actually think that Death Stars will become a thing again. Not Death Stars with characters necessarily, but big, huge,
big
mass,
fat units.
which is, I think we kind of saw on your list, because you had 20
Brutes.
brutes, which you couldn't take before on the South Coast, because there was a wound cap of 30, so you could only take a unit of 10 of them
Yeah.
versus the 20. And even in my games, I was taking one unit of 4 fulminators. That way, when I give them the buff from the Lord Castellant,
Yeah.
it works on them. And if I give them my Beast Mage buff, it's on that one unit. I think now that we're seeing that you can have multiples of a spell go off, that could possibly be a thing.
Yeah, and there's no more
And plus,
final trans or dwellers below.
well, they're there, but they don't do what they used
yeah,
to.
they don't do what they used to.
So I mean, and plus, for a lot of the scenarios, you need more bodies.
Yeah.
So I can see a shift towards bigger units being a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the way you get rid of that is with missions. So you do like missions that have 4 or 5 objective points.
Yeah.
Units can only control 1, and it's
Yeah.
controlled through presence of models. So especially with an army like Iron Jaws, I mean, my model count was pretty low. I had 47 models
Mhm.
on the table. So if I had to play something where there's 5 objectives set,
Yeah.
like some form of equidistant apart, and I can only hold 1 per unit.
Mhm.
I mean, I only have 4 units in my army.
Right, and then you'd be at a serious handicap.
Yeah, so I think that's
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's going to be a problem. I'm just saying it's just something they mentioned, and then I kind of saw in our games.
Oh no, it's Phil.
And I think there's only some armies that are capable of doing it. Stormcast, because you have the Drukothian Guard, which are nasty.
Yeah.
Maybe Chaos with Varen Guard. They're pretty rough. Iron
Yeah.
Jaws. But, I don't think Bone Splitters, because it's just a bunch of chaff. Even the new Beastclaw Raiders, there's nothing. What you could take like a 12-man unit of Mornfang, maybe. I don't
Mhm.
think you ever would though, because that just means less Thunder Tusks. And,
Yeah.
You could take 12 Blood Crushers now.
yeah, that's real good.
Hey.
I heard somebody saying that Blood Crushers were really. Oh, it was on the Black Sun. It was John Warmington saying that taking huge units of Blood Crushers were he thought was really good, and I thought maybe he was reading from a different Grand Alliance Chaos book than I was, because I don't know, I don't really see it what they're good for, but yeah, I think a lot of armies will struggle to put some super terrifying unit. I mean, I get the idea behind you take a couple of synergistic characters to buff,
And
and you
Yeah,
put
and
it all
plus
into
it-
one.
Yeah.
if you're not doing spells, you can add multiple buffs to a unit. I mean, I think that was part of Jules's list too. Was he had the 2 heralds, and he
Yeah.
could stack. He could bring back 2 snakes a turn
Yeah.
with that, plus their banner. Plus, if he had a spell, I mean, he could bring back 4 snakes a turn with
Yep.
2 units of 6 on the. I mean, I think someone was even mentioning, well, why don't you make his snake unit 12? Because you can make it 12.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was saying that.
You were saying
I
that.
was terrified of, because when you told me that was the list he was
Which
bringing,
he might-
I immediately thought 12 snakes in one unit. I was
Which
like,
he could do now, and that might actually
Mhm.
work out. It's just the wall and get into combat with your entire army.
just put it as a wall.
Turn
Your
one.
opponent's
He-
just
I
gonna
know.
quit.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But you got Cetra's buff that goes on 1 unit, it makes them fly. So
Right.
that's going to go on the 1 unit, and then we could see a shift. We'll see.
But the
It's
count-
a little early to
yeah,
say.
I think it's too easy to counter.
I-
Because
I-
it's a bunch of squishy characters.
Yeah.
Even Archeon, who's arguably the most resilient character
Mhm.
in the game,
Dies.
is squishy. He dies.
Mhm.
So if it's a bunch of little dudes on foot that are trying to hide as close as they can to this huge blob of death, we play a game now where shooting units can shoot out of the combat that
Mhm.
they're in or into another combat. You just bring, if you're Sylvaneth, you bring a couple Kurnoth hunters with range 30 bows
Yeah.
that are just going to snipe characters, or adjudicators that can, shoot as well. I think there's definitely ways around it.
No. Yeah.
I don't think we're in any fear of coming into the end of 8th edition Death Star.
No.
Yeah.
But it's just something to keep in mind and
Well, and
Yeah,
everything
to watch. To be,
It'll be a meta shift.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
Possibly.
Exactly.
everything dies in this game, which is nice.
Right.
It's not you can't create that unkill. I mean, you can get a lot of 2-up saves re-rolling 1s. However, 1s you die.
yeah,
so
mortal
you
wounds
can-
still cut through
Mortal
that, too.
wounds, yeah, exactly. There's lots of things. And again, even in your army, you're still dependent on your characters, your heroes, to bring all those abilities to life. You focus on those characters, you get them out of there. All of a sudden, you just got a whole bunch of orcs who are running around. Yes, they're hard and they're choppy, but they're by no means what they used to be when that guy was with them. And they don't get the extra move. They don't get this, that, and the other thing. So everything, Death Stars are going to be too hard, I think, to really implement successfully to the point to where it just overrides the game. And it just, because there's always a counter. There's always a
Yeah.
counter.
They're too fragile.
Yeah.
So, which makes them not Death Stars.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and the fact that I can point my bow people at your character. I can ignore the fact that you've bubble wrapped him.
Yeah.
You know, I can point my guys at you. So
And I had actually thought about, for the house rules and stuff. Well, what about something like a Lookout Sir? I know we had the option of that at the Slobberknocker, and I completely forgot about it as a rule. But
I think that's a bad
Yeah,
call.
I think it's a really bad idea.
Because now you're going to take your unit of 60 grots, and I'm just going to, run them with an Arachnarok and never see a wound get through. Okay, so you did 80 mortal wounds? Great. Good for you. I'm just going to pull off these 60 guys and save the rest. So,
yeah, I suppose that I'm just, I guess, looking for a way to keep my war boss alive as he goes around and cheers on the brutes that actually do the heavy lifting.
See, yeah, I think Lookouts I've seen some other places that were doing it, and I think that's a tremendously bad idea.
Yeah, I think it's a
Because
step
the
back.
beauty of this game is everything dies.
Yeah.
Everything puts out a lot of amazing wounds, but they can be killed. You take that, they can be killed out, and you might as well just play 40k.
Yeah.
Let's just
that's actually
let's just roll our little, Death Stars around, and I'll pop my Stern Guards with my boss out of the Land Raider, and you see what you do. So
Yeah.
And then the other thing I learned was I'm probably going to swap out, like I said, mentioned earlier, I'm going to swap out some of the characters for some chaff and probably throw some prosecutors in there.
Not gonna retire the Stormcast, move on to
Not
greener pastures.
Not yet. No. I think you just need some chaff, especially with some of the scenarios where if you have one guy within 6 inches, you deny your opponent the objective,
mhm.
and then plus a lot of them, if you move, like in our game, if you have that unit that moves over it or not moves over, but claims it, they can move off of it.
Yeah.
It makes them kind of really, really super valuable
Mm-hmm.
because they can get there fast, run up, claim it. Then if your opponent, even if your opponent gets into combat, they can still run away and still claim another objective. So I think those guys are actually probably going to be pretty useful. I'll probably have to have at least 6 in every list going forward.
Yep.
Did you learn anything?
Nope. I
Mr.
already knew
T.O.?
everything.
Well, obviously you went 3-1 with 3-0 with 3 major victories.
Yeah.
Did you learn anything about maybe running a tournament?
Yeah, so definitely read and reread the missions that you want to run at a tournament and even run them by. 'Cause I wanted to keep them kind of a secret so that people couldn't build their lists for them. But it turns out that I probably should have just thrown them out there and talked about them at least with you guys more before going into it to try to clear up any issues like we ran into, and it actually did create a problem as far as the final scoring and everything goes. So it changed who should have won and things like that, and the placings.
Yeah.
But that's one thing I would suggest. And
We'll probably do a show in the future on how to run a tournament.
Mm-hmm.
When we're not 3 hours into it. So
yeah, yeah. So
and just things to figure out and things to think about before you get to that 2 days before, and just go, oh damn, I forgot.
yeah,
So.
exactly. So
Bill, did you learn anything?
Be a little more focused on the objectives of the game and a little less intimidated by your opponent. Because I looked at those arcs and said, well, the reason I deployed weak on the flanks was I wanted to be strong somewhere.
yeah,
And I think if I'd have just said, no, just deploy like you always have. You've won 2 games getting here. Why did you change
yep.
in the third? And, I tried to feint 2 guys, and I think it worked. The third guy didn't fall for it, so, oh well. But yes, pay a little more attention to the objectives and kind of figure that one out a little better. I think I tried to protect everything and ended up protecting nothing. So that's pretty much it for the Rolling Rumble 2016. Rolling Bad Rumble. Rolling Rock Rumble, yay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So yeah, I just want to give a shout out to Scott from coming all the way from San Diego, and to the guys Gabe, Andrew, and Jacob, and Ryan.
Yeah,
from coming down from Colorado.
Yep.
So next year, definitely doing the Rolling Bad Rumble again. Obviously, not on Gen Con weekend.
Right. Not on wife's birthday weekend.
Yeah, that one bit me in the.
We'll cover that one in the things not to do episode.
Exactly. Yeah, there was a moment where I thought, well, I'm taking her out to lunch on Saturday or on Sunday after it's all done.
Yeah, that should be enough.
Except that I got to be to the store on Friday night to get set up, which is her birthday.
Oh.
So she'll be at home alone watching the baby
God.
on her birthday. So I got this husband thing down
Yes, you do.
perfectly.
Yes.
But yeah, and next year it will be a 2-day tournament.
Full blown.
Yeah. And we're also working on another one for March. Some weekend in March, haven't pinned it all down yet. Obviously, as we develop more for that, we'll let you know. So that if you got a blank in your calendar, hopefully you guys can come down and we'll do it again. This will be a narrative event instead of like a GT style tournament. So give more information as that develops. I think that's pretty much it, gentlemen. We don't have a Realm of Lore prepared. We don't have.
Nope. This tournament pretty much took up a lot of our last 2 weeks. So.
And we're going to try to keep the episode manageable.
Yeah.
Keep it away from the face hammer and garage hammer.
Oh God, yeah.
Levels.
Hey, I don't mind a 6-hour podcast.
Oh, I don't want anyone to have to listen to me for 6 hours straight.
Oh, that's too true.
All right. Well,
any final thoughts?
Read your tournament packs. Read your missions thoroughly.
Read the rules.
Read the rules because that takes 10 minutes.
That was always the number one rule at our old game store. The 3 rules of gaming. This was back when we used to play War Machines, so it's cards instead of. But the number 1 rule was read your effing cards. The number 2 rule was read your effing cards. And then the number 3 rule was read your opponent's effing cards. So 3 most important rules of playing.
Yes.
Yeah, they kind of apply to all games.
Funny how that all seems to matter.
Yeah. So.
Just my final thought is going to be kudos to you for putting it together and doing it. And I think everybody had a good time. I didn't see any upset, angry faces walking out of the store. So I think it was a pretty good deal overall. Yeah. So, and I think we gave you enough hell for walking out with the trophy. So,
well, and thank you guys too. Bill, you put together the trophies. They looked awesome. Mine looks amazing. Sitting in my trophy room.
I swear I'll get that back.
And James printed out. It took my very rough draft of the tournament pack and made it real nice.
That was a nice pack. So. Yep. Just one thing I do want to say: the trophy for best painted actually had 2 of the GW Artificer brushes in it, so you were getting a pretty nice little deal.
Nice.
So, in a little bottle of Lamy medium. And the brushes were removable. You don't have to paint with the trophy upside down.
So that's how the only way I would paint. A whole trophy. See if you could win best painted by painting with a best painted trophy. Huh?
I want to see the pictures of that.
That's painting meta right
there. That is right there, buddy.
Yeah, I think we're good.
All right, so let's wrap it up. How can they get a hold of us?
Well, James's phone number is 505. So you can hit me up at Twitter at Elric Edge. It's ELRIC Edge.
You can get me at Bill Castello, CASTELLO.
And you can get me at Tersoff.
You can also tweet us at Rolling Bad. That'll hit all 3 of us. So. Yep. Nice and streamlined. We have an email at rollingbadpodcast@gmail.com. And we also have an Instagram at Rolling Bad that's getting a lot of traffic because James is throwing up all his nicely painted Stormcast. I'm hoping to add some stuff to that in the next 2 weeks to
Nice.
ride your
Coattails.
hobby high and maybe get some likes on my stuff. Make me feel better about myself. So that's it.
Yeah, I think we're good. Cool.
Welcome to episode.
James, will you please
Sure,
do the
sure.
intro? Because we are the Tournament Podcast. So bite me. So I forgot it the first time.
Later.
You're bye.
I'll do
Not
it.
again.
I'll do it.
Huh?
Bye.
I hope I can save that.
I don't think he listens.
Oh.